what we'd like to do is, if you don't mind, if you can do a little prayer, we can
I'll
start
be happy
before
to.
our
Absolutely.
interview.
Yes, sir.
How do we do this?
Well, let's just pray. Let's just
do
pray.
it. Okay.
Well, Father, we just take a minute to acknowledge you, to acknowledge your existence, to acknowledge your spirit here in this place with us. And God, we want nothing more than to glorify you in what we do, in the way we speak to each other, the way we talk, the topics we talk about. So we ask for your wisdom. Holy Spirit, guide us. Would you use this podcast in just some crazy way that we would have never thought to reach a heart, to encourage someone, to make someone feel loved or understood or seen or heard in some way. And so guide our words. We ask it in Jesus' name.
Amen. Wow, I got to start everyone like this. Every podcast. Hey, welcome to the Giulio Show, and I'm glad that you're here. We have a special guest who I'm going to introduce to you in just a moment. First of all, happy belated Thanksgiving. I am still full. I had to wear extra size large pants today to get through this. I don't know about you.
Elastic waist. Yeah.
Exactly. And Christmas is coming right around the corner, which means more food. But today, graciously, the pastor, this is Pastor Mike
Matheny.
Matheny.
Yep.
I kept saying Matheny.
Yeah.
It's Matheny.
Yep.
A good old Italian name. Irish, right? Irish name. And has just an amazing pastor in a lot of churches that I've been to. And I've been very fortunate that when I came to Leesburg, my wife has found Church of the Lakes, which is held in a public school, Leesburg High School. Unheard of. And everybody I tell, they're like, what do you mean they're holding church in a high school? I'm like, no, this pastor is doing amazing things, not only within the community, but in our public schools and with the kids. And I can't say enough about him. So I'm going to introduce him as we go along, because I can go on and on about Pastor Mike. But I want to introduce you to him and welcome him. And thank you so much for giving us the time, inviting us here to the Opera House.
Yeah, my honor. Yeah, welcome to our new digs here. Yeah, new offices here at Leesburg Opera House. Absolutely.
Leesburg.
Yeah.
Let me go backwards a little bit. You got involved, you've been in the ministry for how long now?
26 years I've been a pastor.
Wow.
Yeah.
26 years.
26
But
years.
you started 26 years ago, not just as a pastor. Is that when you started your discipleship?
Well, technically, I felt called to missions when I was in high school. Kind of ran away from that because I got a full soccer scholarship to university. So I took that and went and played a year and a half of professional soccer, and decided I wanted to eat because I was not that good enough to make big money. So, but really, I met my wife at church, and she had a call to missions. And so when I asked her daddy for her hand in marriage, the first thing he said to me is, "My wife's been called to missions. Have y'all talked about this?" And I said, "Yes, sir. We're going to do it together." So we paid off debts, took off to the mission field, spent almost a year in Africa as missionaries.
In Gambia, right?
Gambia.
Gambia.
Yeah, Gambia, West Africa.
I'm Italian, so it's a Gambia.
Fair enough.
Like
fair
shrimp,
enough.
yeah. Gambia.
Gambia.
Gambia,
Yes.
West
Yeah.
Africa. And how long did you stay in West Africa?
Just a little less than a year. We were there with a group called Youth with a Mission. We lived on a mission boat. The boat, it was a yacht, not a yacht, it was an old cruise boat from the 20s, turned into a mission boat. They had operating rooms for doctors, and they had multiple things that could happen off of this boat. So they pull into port, serve the community love, and bring the love of Christ. So, yeah.
And that's where you and Jennifer, which is your wife's name, got your start in training in ministry?
Yeah, we went to their discipleship training school, which is the first thing you have to go through with YWAM, is the organization, Youth with a Mission. Yeah. And so we spent several months living on the ship, going through training there, and then being a part. Thought we were going to be missionaries for forever. I mean, we kind of sold everything, took off and went, and ended up, after our training there, we ended up being called back here to Leesburg, and I started being a youth and children's pastor, and here we are 26 years later. So,
wow, that's amazing. I mean, how does someone I know many people are called to spread the word of God and Christ, but how do you wake up and look at each other and say, we're going to sell everything, we're going to go to Africa? We're going to jump in 2 feet because that would scare the heck out of a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a journey. I'm a hard-headed one, man. I'm a stubborn mule. Like God has to hit me with a 2x4 in the forehead, to get me to move. And so I would say it was not a wake up. I say it was a journey. I mean, I was called out of high school and I didn't go. And it cost me a little bit. I had some struggle years, through college and all. And then, meeting my wife and coming back to, and so it was a journey, I think, of surrendering to a calling that was there for a long time. So I'm not sure it was a wake up moment as much as it just started to blossom inside of me. This is who you are. I have a firm belief that God does not create people, step back and go, what the heck am I supposed to do with that one? Right? That's not how this works.
I think he said that about me.
No, I don't believe that. I believe that he is orchestrating this grand narrative of his story. And so he designs each of us. And he gives us a certain personality and certain giftings and certain abilities because there's a part of his story that he would like to play. Now, our pride and our sin wants to do it our own way. We want to do our own story and our own version of that. And so part of the journey of following Jesus is really surrendering to his version of the story, which includes the way he made us and the purpose that he has. So I think it was a journey of surrender.
Yeah.
So
when I was younger, just like you, but I grew up Catholic or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
It was in all these churches,
Yeah.
but mainly Catholic in the
Yeah.
house. And I wanted to be a priest. But all of a sudden, I found out they couldn't get married, so I was like, "No, that's out."
Done.
I like, I like girls.
I like women. Absolutely, yes.
And then getting kicked out of catechism on my first day.
That doesn't help.
I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, that didn't help too much. But there's always been a calling. But
Yeah.
I wish I had the ability that when I see you up there and you can quote and you can and you read right from the Bible. It's not like you make up stories. Because let's go back a little bit. In 2016, when you came back to Leesburg, what was it did you and Jennifer just sit down and say, we're going to open church?
No, actually, I came back to Leesburg in 2000 and started as a youth and children's pastor and spent 15 years, serving in someone else's church as their youth and children's pastor. What got birthed in me was a passion for Leesburg. One of the things that I see, and this is a Mike opinion, in the Bible, people are not called to ministries. They're not called to people. They're not called to jobs. They're called to places. And so I've often had somebody come to me and say, I feel like I have this opportunity. What do you think? And I won't even talk about the opportunity. I'll talk about the city it's in. Do you love that place? Is God making you? Wildwood is a city right next to it. I had a young lady come to me and say, I've got an opportunity to be the youth director at a church in Wildwood. What do you think? How do I figure out what God's telling me to do? And I looked at her and I said, have you fallen in love with Wildwood? And she went, what? And I said, well, are you ready to, you're going to be a youth director with kids. Are you ready to put Wildwood's colors on and go to Friday night football? Are you going to move to Wildwood? And she goes, no, I'm not moving to Wildwood. And I went, that may not be your calling then. All too often we chase dollars and paychecks. We chase cool situations because the grass is always greener, but nobody ever talks about the water bill's higher over there, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's got to maintain it somehow.
Yes, exactly. But the reality of being, and so there was this love that really launched inside of me of Leesburg, and I really got to a point one day where I thought, I'm gonna die here. I'm pretty sure. Like this is, where God has called me. And so there just birthed this passion. And then as I looked at our community, I saw such need, such hurt. We're a sort of an impoverished, lower income community. And so, God has birthed in me, I want to do something different here, that we teach people not to just survive, but to thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of Thrive, you have a couple of Thrive centers, but you're
Yes.
right. People, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, but people always look at the big city, the gleaming lights, and I've got to be here to be famous.
Sure.
Not to spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you see a lot of ministers who are on TV today, they're just glorified inspirational speakers.
Sure.
They're not from the heart and from the true word that's written, where you don't put on the act of like the Pharisees. You get up there, you do your thing, and you talk about that. And in 2017 was your first seminar or mass that you gave as Church of the Lakes as you founded that. Right?
Yeah, we launched. We started a launch team in 2016, and then August 2017 we had our first service, 2 blocks from where we're sitting right now in an old theater. And I give a lot of credit. There's a group called Association of Related Churches that taught us how to launch a church well. And in a lot of ways, it was a franchise. It was, here are systems, here are things to do this well. You know, most pastors are not great businessmen. Most great businessmen are not great pastors. I think they're different skill sets. And there's probably not enough taught about that in seminary, right? That makes you say, you know, hey, I need to surround myself with some people that have these skills. And I have been blessed to surround myself with some amazing business people to help us make healthy decisions financially and all that, because that's not my world. You turn all that over to Mike and we'd be broke tomorrow because I'd give it all away, right? You know, I'd see this need at the school and this need there. And so yeah, we launched the church, and we're just blessed enough to give good, healthy systems to put around us to maintain humility when you have success, but then also to maintain some good, healthy financial practices.
Yeah, you said some great things that in business, in a lot of the schools, even when I went to beauty school, as you know. Yeah. Eventually, down the years, I went to college when I learned how to read. But right. You know, they didn't teach you the accounting part, the business part. Right. So there's different personalities, and you said you surrounded yourself with the right people. Yeah. Because a lot of people that get into business or get into ministry or whatever they're doing, like you were launching a church, you knew right off the bat, here's not my strength. My strength is here, and this is what the gift the Lord gave me. Correct. Now I got to get these other gifted people around me. But how did you find them? Because here's your first day church. How many people showed up? And did you pick them out of there, or was that something you already had, like Jesus did picking his disciples? You know?
No. I think it's all about vision. Forget church for just a minute. Let's talk business. Let's talk organization of any sort. It's all about vision, right? What is the vision? What is the heart? Many of us launch something because we're going to make money. Many of us launch something because we have some ideal, but not necessarily a plan, a thought. What does this look like? And I had just spent so many years here in Leesburg that I thought, you know, I need to see people move from a place of surviving to a place of thriving. Not just, well, can I just get a job with the city and survive? I mean, some people need to work for the city. I don't mean to downplay that, but I think that the reality is understanding your purpose. Like I said, that God has created you. So we have emphasized, if you put the right people in the right seats on the bus, you'll have a healthy bus, right? But you put the wrong people in the wrong seats on the bus, that bus, it don't matter, it's an organization, a church, or business, it's going to be miserable. Nobody's going to enjoy that reality. You know, so we work very hard to understand, who are you? You know, when you come to church, I mean, you yourself came through what we call life steps, and we do a disc profile. What is your personality type? How did God design you? Some people are detail people, and they want to do all the little tiny numbers, and they could sit in a cubicle and work and not deal with people all day long. I would kill myself if you gave me that job. Like, that would drive me crazy.
And don't get it, his team is still trying to figure out where I belong.
That's not true. You love people. You love people. And that's us sitting here today. But the reality being is for all of us, organizations, schools, you know, whether you're a hairdresser or whether you've got your own business and, you know, you're renting a booth or you're renting out booths to other people, right people on the right seats makes all the difference in the world in any healthy, good organization.
You found the right people, and today, which is very tough. But before I go into finding the right people, which kind of goes hand in hand with what I want to talk about, because you've also, you're not just about the church. Let's talk about first getting into the high school. Yeah. To have Sunday mass, church, service, whatever. Right. I'm used to saying mass growing up, and I still do it. And I still do the cross and all this other stuff. Absolutely. But some things were just bred in us. Yes. But how did you get into a public school? I mean, especially with all the stuff that just went on after COVID, where everybody was like, no, you know, there is no God, there is no, and you know, the world just went crazy with all different types of thoughts. Yeah. How did you land that?
Wonder precedes the word.
Explain.
Okay. Our job is to spread the word of God, right? Our job is to bring truth into people's lives. But oftentimes when you're bringing truth to someone, what it comes across to them as is you just telling them their life is messed up and wrong, and they don't really want to hear that. So that's a hard message, right? It's hard to look at somebody and say, you should do life differently and this would be healthier. But that's the word. We're trying to bring God's truth into the world. But wonder precedes the word. When Jesus was here on earth, he would preach. But before he would preach, he would feed them. Before he would preach, he would heal them. Before he would preach, he would do some physical thing and create wonder. So from the beginning, we have said wonder precedes the word. Before we ever open our mouth, before we ever preach a sermon or tell anybody how they should live their life or not live their life or help them with any of their problems, how about they see that we care? It's the old adage, they don't care how much you know till they know how much you care, right? So wonder precedes the word. If we make them wonder, they'll ask for the word. They'll ask for why. Why do y'all live this way? Why are y'all doing church in a school? And the answer is, well, because we can have a huge generational impact. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. We set up and take down every week. Saturdays, 5 p.m., my wife and I are at the high school helping the setup team pull stuff out of the storage and setting up sound systems and tearing down sound systems and all that sort of stuff. But wonder precedes the word, right? When they see us do this, why are y'all doing this? Well, because we don't have a mortgage payment or an electric bill. When the air conditioner breaks, we don't pay for it. The school board pays for it. It's their air conditioner, right? So that allowed us to turn around and give away. In the first 7 years of the church, we gave away about $1.5 million. Well, people pay attention, right? When you walk into the Park and Rec department and say, hey, we'd like to help you this year. What are your needs? Well, we got this and that. Okay, but we have this big sponsorship nobody's ever done before. It's a $10,000 sponsorship. We'll have your name on all the uniforms. Well, I said, done. We'll have a check for you tomorrow.
See, what I like is most people automatically think that when people start these churches, and some do, not everybody.
Sure.
You talked about free rent. When the air conditioning goes down, they're like, yeah, because you're pocketing all the money. But that's not what you did.
Yeah.
You took that money that you saved and reinvested it not only into the school, because I believe you put a lot into the school, and we'll talk about those Thrive Centers, but you did it into the community as well. So it's not like Pastor Mike goes home and counts, show me the money, all that good stuff. You actually make it work for the community.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about what you do at the church. And you made these Thrive Centers. Tell me about that.
So I'm a youth pastor at heart. I never really wanted to be a senior pastor. I still sometimes don't want to be a senior pastor. I love working with kids. I love it when I'm on the sidelines at the ball game. I still teach a leadership class called Habitudes at the high school that let me do once a week. So I still have that heart. But the reality of reaching teenagers these days is a different world, right? And the average teenager is going to come to a church service and not have a clue what you're talking about, right? The only Moses they know, well, he deals over on 9th Street. That's the dealer over there. And so the reality is the teen centers are a safe place to come after school. A lot of our problems in Leesburg, I'm also the chaplain of the police department, so I work directly with the police department. And a lot of our problems happen between 3 and 9 p.m. With our 11 to 17-year-olds. Because they got nowhere to go, right? Nothing to do. They're not involved in a sport. They're not in some extracurricular activity.
Not like when we were growing up, we would play basketball or whatever.
Man, we made everything up. We played kick the can with whatever we could find,
ball.
But no, they get bored, and then the next thing you know, there's some older kid who says, hey, we got this group over here, i.e. gang, right? They would come join us. We'll give you a nickname. We'll praise you. We'll got your back, et cetera. And now you got a problem. So we created these spaces that after school they can come hang out. There's ping pong tables and video game systems and a big old basketball court and all that. But it gives our adults the chance to come and sit down and get to know a kid and build a little relationship, build some wonder, right? Build it. Why is this old person sitting here talking to me in the afternoon? Why when I come in and plop down is there Mr. Mel who's, 70 years old and he goes, how was your day? They don't have anything like that. That's the living room that most of those kids don't have. So yeah, we started Thrive Teen Centers, and with the effort to just reach kids and make a safe place, and it makes a difference for the city. It lowers crime, right? Because they're off the street and doing stuff, and it gives the opportunity for us to speak purpose into kids.
Which was received well from the kids, because like you said, they show up.
Oh yeah. We at our one center over here, we average probably 45 teenagers every afternoon. We've had as many as 72 in an afternoon come through, and it's a come and go. We don't hold them. Parents know, hey, look, we're not checking them in or out.
You don't even charge them?
If they bold, oh no, it's all free. It's all been paid for, and so many people in the community have loved what we've done that we've had so many donations, including the building and property was given to us.
Wow.
The owners just signed it over to the church and said, man, we love what you're doing. It's yours. So,
wow,
yeah.
That's a true gift.
Yeah.
And you also help them with homework.
Yeah. So there's some of the people will sit down and talk about, are you having some trouble with math or this and that? Because of the tie with the middle school, we know their teachers. We know their administrators. We know their principal. The principal has come down and played carpet ball with kids in the afternoon after school.
Oh, that's great.
So forget politics for just a minute, but there, was a statement made years ago that it takes a village. And the reality is I don't like that, because I think biblically it takes a mom and dad. But in a world where there's not a mom and dad, guess what? It takes a village, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really what we've done. We've created a village around these kids where we all know each other,
It's kind of like going backwards a little bit, because when we were growing up, it did take a village, because our mom and dads were working 2 or 3 jobs.
Sure.
Especially,
Yeah.
if you immigrated over, or
Yeah.
back then, it was a lot of blue collar.
Yeah. And on my street, anybody had permission to spank my butt.
Oh yeah,
Right.
And they took advantage of. I don't know about you, but they took advantage with me.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm glad they did. I
Yes,
was
sir.
angry at the time, but I'm glad they did, because it did lead me the right way.
Yeah.
But then we got into this world where mom and dad, it was easier to split up.
Sure.
So now you had a mom or just a dad.
Yep.
And then as we got further, you're lucky if you had a mom and dad again.
Correct.
So all of a sudden we came full circle again to it takes a village.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Where, as soon as somebody finds out his girlfriend or whoever's pregnant, they book.
Yep.
Or she books or he books, and or during the marriage, just because they had an argument, they don't think of the children. They just think of their, selfish kind of.
Yeah.
And they just break up the marriage. I mean, I get it. There are some cases where you worked at it as hard as you can, you just can't anymore.
Sure.
But you still got to keep the kids in mind.
Yeah.
Because you're right, when they get bored, that's when I used to get in trouble the most.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So it was great that they always had me doing something, even though I hated it. Even if I had to go rake the neighbor's yard, I'm like,
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not my yard.
Yes.
But they did keep us busy in that sense.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you're doing that. But also, in the high school, you have the rock.
Yeah, so the ROC program is, again, just another way to serve. We have seen, we finally kind of figured out when Billy shows up to first period and he's acting a fool. We all remember some goofball in our class that acted a fool, right?
Yeah.
But nobody can figure out why Billy's acting a fool. Well, when Billy rode the bus this morning, everybody on the bus was calling him Stinky because Billy stinks. Why does Billy stink? Well, because his family can't afford to get him deodorant. Wait a minute, wait. So the whole bus issue, the whole issue in first period could be solved with some speed stick? Yeah. So what we figured out is we created the ROC in the school, and any need a kid has, hygiene products, deodorant, feminine products, toothpaste, toothbrush, clothes, even food, school supplies. Teachers keep school supplies in their desk to give away that they spend with their own money, and they don't have a lot of money to spend the way we pay them. But any of that can be found at the ROC. And so these kids knock on the door all day long of the ROC and have the opportunity to come in and get whatever they need. But in there is people who will love on them, encourage them, let them rant and rave if they need to, if they're overly emotional in the moment, sit down. We create a little couch. Here's a little living room scenario. But it's given us the opportunity to, one knock on the door is, can I have a pencil? The next knock on the door is, I had sex for the first time last month and I'm late. What do I do now?
Wow.
You know, and so we have this opportunity. Well, they measured the suspendable offenses. Every time a kid got some kind of offense that was a suspense from school, they measured it in a year, and Leesburg High was the highest in our region.
Wow.
We instituted the Rock. A year and a half later, they measured the same time period. Now with the Rock, there were 23. During that time period, there were 225
Wow.
before in the same time period. So what we found was we solved Billy's issue. Times some 200 other kids, right? So in a year's time, in a school where there's a population of 1,700, in 1 year's time, we'll have as many as 1,500 or 1,600 check-ins at the Rock.
Wow.
And so it just gives us an opportunity, and you just don't realize the smallest, silliest little stuff. You know, educators will tell you, just keep them in class. Just get them to show up on time. Well, when Jamal, my 15-year-old football player, decides that he wants to get out on the street or go see his friends or do something else, he shows up at school in a wife beater. Well, wife beater's not dress code. Homeboy knows what he's doing, right? He's trying to get kicked out of school. So the teacher sends him up first period. Well, they used to send him home, but now they go down to the Rock. He comes, we open up. How much is this shirt? No, it's yours. Put it on, get your butt back to class. And he's back in class.
That's cool.
So you multiply those stories times 1,500, 1,600, and it has had a profound effect on our schools.
Wow. And these are all donated to the Rock, which is it's a big room in the high school.
Yep.
It's not a rock for
Correct.
some of you. It's a classroom
Right.
that they go into. But do people donate these things? Do the school supply? How does that work?
It's amazing because we figured out, depending on the size of the Rock of the school, it takes us probably anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000 to launch a Rock. We're going to paint it. We're going to put all new furniture in it. We're going to, deck it out, put all supplies. What's amazing has been the way the community has come around. So we'll create some social media. We'll have a Stock the Rock Day. Hey, we need hoodies. We need toothpaste. We're running low on blah, blah, blah. And boom, it shows up.
Donation.
And so as a church, we used to have it in our missions that we had money whenever there was supplies needed for the Rock. We finally took it out because we never spent a dime because the community keeps it resourced. We have a bunch of retirees around us. One of our retiree community, the Knitting Club, found out about the Rock on social media, and the ladies came up with $400. Come and present a check to the lady running the Rock. Well, the senior retirement community across the highway, they found out those knitting ladies over there gave $400. So they raised $600, right? And so really what became this almost competitive but fun that the community funds it. And so it's amazing to watch. Dentists find out about it, and the next thing you know, they send cases of toothbrush or toothpaste, or this group finds out, or the sheriff's department gives, or just, it's been amazing to watch.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So if I go, because my wife was talking about that too. She said that you also work with social services when they walk into a house and they see the kid has no bed, no clothes. Rather than taking the child, you work with them and say, hey, this is what this family needs.
Yep.
And then the donations come in, and the child is able to stay with their family.
Yes.
It's not that their family's neglecting their child. They can't afford to get them a bed.
Correct. There's quite a few kids that end up going into foster care, and it could be avoided. Right. So my wife and our foster parents, we had 8 foster kids, adopted 5 kids out of the foster care system.
Wow.
And so I know the world, right, pretty well, lived it quite a bit. But yeah, sometimes they walk in and there's a scenario where grandma and grandpa have taken in some kids because mom's having a hard time on drugs, whatever. But grandma and grandpa weren't ready to receive kids, so they don't have beds for them. Right. Well, the DCF worker shows up, Department of Children and Families, shows up and goes, well, we got a problem. We're going to need to take them if you don't have a bed for them. Yeah. So something like that. As soon as a kid gets taken and put into the system, it costs taxpayers in Florida $30,000, right, for that kid to be in the system and all that has to go with that. Well, if we can solve something as simple as getting a bed for that grandma and grandpa, we set up a family to stay together and we save the taxpayers $30,000. So it makes a big deal. So we have a program called Care Portal. It's an app on the phone that we can send out an immediate blast.
Say that again, Care
Portal. Yeah.
It's on which app now?
It's the app is called Care Portal. So if you go into Apple or your Google Play, for your Android, you can search Care Portal and download it. And in your city, you can start a Care Portal group. And then caseworkers start to know that, hey, there's a group that will fill needs. And so we'll get a caseworker, find a scenario, get on, fill it out. Boom, we all get notifications. Here's a need. And we get the opportunity to try to fill that quickly and maybe keep that kid with their grandparents or whatever the situation is. Yeah.
That's great. And a lot of people always tell me, because I at one point I was a hoarder. I just kept buying stuff and everything. And they're like, why don't you have a big garage sale? I'm like, why? Because I can make $5 or $10.
Right.
I'm like, why don't I give it to someone who needs it?
Sure.
And so, but for a while there, it was difficult to find a place where people would say, yeah, I'll take that TV, or I'll take that bedroom set. And I'm not talking, broken down legs or whatever. I'm talking nice sets. It was hard to give it. So it's nice to know that now you can go on the app.
Care Portal.
Care Portal.
Yeah.
And
in any of your cities, there's a good chance there's a group maybe there. It's really been touted in Florida from the governor's office. It's really been pushed, as a program to use, but it's a great thing. It's a great resource.
Well, even around the holidays, Christmas time, let's think about how many of you, have kids that have outgrown their toys that they didn't even touch.
Yep.
And you can go on Care Portal or donate those to people who can't even have a Christmas, which we're going to lead into in a little bit here. But there are so many things that we don't use, or we don't need anymore. And we've had the blessings to get a new bedroom set, and some people just throw it out in the back and burn it up. Give it to somebody who needs it. And now you know where you can do that. Speaking of which, if you listen to Pastor Mike, everything is about the community, serving the community. Because number one, we serve God.
Sure.
And in serving God, we serve others. And you're all about serving others and giving. And the holiday seasons are coming up.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who won't have the luxury of celebrating that holiday season, but also too, because they're trying to keep up with how can I say this? Christmas has gone crazy.
Sure.
It used to, the Christmas, the 25th was about the birth of Jesus Christ. And you're going to tell us a little bit more about that. And then all of a sudden this little fat man comes in and he's got a red suit and he takes over his birthday party. And then this other religion comes in and takes over his birthday party.
Right.
Next thing you know, it's not about Christ anymore. It's about, or the birth of Christ. It's about how much can I buy? How much can I give? How can I outdo something? What happened? What is Christmas?
Yeah, it's funny because I think there's two extremes. One extreme is those who are, it's only about Jesus, and they might call him Satan Claus, right?
Yeah.
And then there's others that, it's all about Santa Claus and all this sort of stuff, and we don't ever talk about Jesus. I think there's room for both. And the reason being is Santa Claus is a representative of an actual person, Saint Nick. If you look up Saint Nick, he was a guy that loved and served. He wasn't perfect. He was just like all the rest of us. Most people don't realize, but if I understand the research correctly, we used to talk about Saint Nick, but we didn't have a picture in our head. From what I've researched, the picture that you now have in your head of this fat guy in a red suit with a big white beard was created by Coca-Cola as part of their advertising. Okay. So we have this scenario where this came in, and now we all have that ingrained in our head. But like in our house, no, we didn't have Santa Claus from the standpoint of Santa Claus is going to bring gifts and all this sort of stuff. We talked about there was a guy named Saint Nick, and the world has kind of blown that up into a different place that we don't go to necessarily. But I think you can say Santa Claus is a great thing when you represent who Saint Nick was and what he meant in serving. At the same time, one of the things that we did in our house is we didn't have a Christmas tree. We had a Jesse tree. So,
Jesse tree. What's a Jesse tree?
A Jesse tree is a Christmas tree, but all of the ornaments represent Bible stories. And you can get on and you can Google right now, Jesse tree, and you'll find all kinds of stuff on it. And so we created a little, and we have the kids make them out of construction paper. Here's a blue blob, and you put some white on it, and it's earth, right? God created the earth. And you actually can get online and Google, and it'll have stories for you to read with your kids. And so you could start the day after Thanksgiving, and every day do a story that leads up to Jesus coming into the world.
Oh, wow.
Well, now your Christmas tree, every time they look at the tree, oh, that's Daniel in the lion's den. Oh, that's because God created the earth. Oh, that's the serpent that came and deceived, Adam and Eve. And so I believe that I think we've gotten it overly commercialized, and we've made it all about this. And I don't think it's the healthiest thing necessarily to lie to our kids. You know what I mean? To talk about a guy and then one day go, never mind. Yeah. I'm not sure that's the greatest idea, but I think you can incorporate and say, well, this celebration is because there was a man, but let me tell you about the man and who this story is really all about.
Yeah, so. And I get it. There's different religions and beliefs out there, and I respect them all. I'm not talking about that stuff.
Right.
What I'm talking about is the over-commercialization of the whole holiday.
Yeah.
And you're right, there was a Saint Nick, and because my wife had this, she had to really look it up, but there's also a Netflix one about, it was just a guy who made gifts and gave to other people, especially the poor. And then we looked him up, and I think he became a bishop afterwards.
Right.
So there was a Saint Nick, but he didn't have a sleigh, he didn't have flying reindeer.
No, that's been created, absolutely.
But he was made a saint by the Catholic Church, right? So Saint Nick. All these different religions, I got to try to remember everything.
Yeah.
But what happened was, because growing up, from Italy, the thing back then was baby Jesus brought you the gift. The other thing is on the 6th of January was the Befana, and the witch would bring you the gift as well. But we never talked about Santa Claus. But now if you go to Europe, Santa Claus is huge.
Sure.
Where before it used to be more about celebrating the birth of Christ. And it was funny because I spoke to you about this earlier. We have a 2-year-old girl. Now, my boys, I kind of, things, I don't know how they developed, but we never really focused. But Santa, we did mention it, but we talked about Christ's birthday too. We incorporated the two. But now I got this 2-year-old, and we really want to give her the true meaning. And a lot of people are struggling with this. You don't want to say there's no such thing as Santa.
Right.
Because then she's going to go to school and say, there's no such thing as Santa, and ruin it for everybody else. We don't want her to be that child, but we also want her to understand that this is the celebration and the birth of Christ. Because when I was decorating for Christmas, I said I'm decorating for Jesus' birthday party.
Right.
I don't know why that came to my head, but that's what I told her. Now, too, they don't really understand, but I'm going to continue to tell her that.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I just have to make sure I got to check with the pastor. So I got to make sure I go the right way. So, but anyway, how can, or is there a way, like you said, the Jesse
tree.
Jesse tree. You notice I can't say my THs together to closest, but the Jesse tree.
Yes.
But also, too, when you're sitting down with your child and she's seeing Rudolph and Santa, I mean, that's all you see is those shows.
Yeah.
So, and it's everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So how do you have that discussion? Because she just ran into 3 Santa Claus walking down the block.
Yeah.
It's like, well, those are his helpers.
Yeah.
Well,
I wonder if it's not about, gosh, we're in such a cancel culture.
Yeah.
Right? Our mindset is just to cancel everything. And I wonder if it's not as much about canceling stories as it is getting back to priorities and meaning. Why can't they watch Rudolph and enjoy a fun, silly story, about a red-nosed reindeer, type of deal? But I would say it ties more, you said commercialization. I think it ties more into our gift giving or receiving. If we program a child from the beginning that you're going to wake up and it's going to look like Toys R Us threw up in the living room, what priority are we saying to them?
right.
Receive, receive, receive.
Yeah.
Right? And now it becomes I get, and now we're feeding a greed that can be in all of us. One of the things that I think is really key is maybe emphasizing the gift giving and how we serve. And the reason the world celebrates Santa Claus is because he was a giver, right? And Jesus was a giver. He gave his life for us. Right? That's what this is all about. And so I wonder if more of it is emphasizing the giving and receiving of gifts, how we do that, how over the top, maybe we sometimes do that. And what is that teaching and what is that saying to our kids?
Should we get just rid of the gifts? I'm trying to save some money here. Can we just get rid of the gifts and go to the religious part? But you're right. It's gotten to the point, and I'm guilty of that with,
Sure.
with my two boys. Now they're older, and I have a 2-year-old, and I'm trying to limit that. Is I would try to fill that room, as like you said, make it a Toys R Us.
Yeah.
But yes, their expectations was getting higher and higher, and at one point, if they misbehaved, I had them donate their new toy to something because I overdid it, and I realized that was my fault. But the true meaning is, okay, the exchange of gift, which came from, it could be a symbolization or is a symbolization of the gifts Christ gave us.
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be, expensive. It doesn't have to be mountful. You don't have to go crazy. I think that even getting around with the family around the table and celebrating the birth of Christ and with a beautiful meal, like you said, a gift exchange, but enjoying family.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, serving one another, loving one another. That's really what this whole thing is about. And the commercialization just makes it a greedy thing that turns it towards me. I mean, it's back to wonder precedes the word. It's back to living a life of service. Jesus came to teach us how to serve. He picked up and put a towel on his arm and washed the disciples' feet. And that's what he's calling us to do. But the world's calling us to get more, be more, right?
Yeah.
Bigger, better, 2.0, 4.0, 100.0. And it's always about this expansion. And so I think we push back on stories. We argue on, Rudolph and whether kids should watch this or whether we should have Santa Claus or not have Santa Claus. I wonder if we should be focusing more on what is the messaging, and the messaging should be about service. Right? Are we giving and exchanging gifts? Are we gathering as a family in such a way as to say, we represent this time because Jesus was the ultimate gift and the ultimate server? How do we teach and sort of prescribe that scenario in each other's lives?
I like that. Y'all heard that, so don't expect any gifts from me. I'm just going to send you love.
I didn't say that. If he doesn't send you a gift, anyway. Yeah.
No, and I love giving gifts. People always ask me what I want. I want nothing.
Yeah.
But what can I give you?
Yeah.
Meaning, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I serve you? And I think if we get back more to that, because like you said, even in the last 5 years, and it's been happening for many years, but the last 5-6 years, it's got totally crazy.
Yeah.
And totally out of control. And even when you gift shop, people don't put any thought anymore. They just go on to Amazon and they click just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, they're in debt for thousands of dollars.
Right.
When that's not the meaning of Christmas, is to get in debt.
Yeah.
It's to serve. Even if you can't give a bunch of gifts, but even serving the gift of a meal.
Yeah.
You notice I love food.
Yeah.
So, but that's how we grew up. That was our gift to people.
Yeah.
Is food. Passing it across the fence to the neighbor, sharing, loving on one another.
Yeah.
We didn't, here, carry this box. This is for you. We spent a ton of money on it because when you did buy gifts when I was growing up, you would first open the gift and see how much they spent so that you can do the same thing in the envelope, which is silly. It's just an exchange of money instead of an exchange of love.
Correct.
Which I think goes, it took me many years to understand that.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys understand that too. And that you give from the heart and you give with love and not just because you feel you have to and go spend all this money.
Yeah.
There's much more to celebrating the birth of Christ or Christmas, whatever you celebrate, Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, than spending a boatload of money. But here's the big challenge. Now you're eating like crazy from Thanksgiving on to New Year's.
Yes.
And you put on all this weight and you already were mad about the way you put on from the beginning. And New Year's comes and you start planning your resolution.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think number one resolution here is I'm going to take care of me. And it's all about me.
Yep.
Me. I'm going to go on a diet, which I do every week anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop eating this. I'm going to join the gym. And that lasts for maybe 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, last year I was going to lose 20 pounds, and at this point I'm only 30 pounds away, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, and we do that, but we forget. I mean, it is important for self-awareness and change. We shouldn't have to wait for New Year's, but that happens to be one of the days.
Yeah, it's in the rhythm of our culture.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, okay, we're going to make this change, but you brought up something interesting, because I always talk about working on yourself, and I talk about self-awareness, but it's like cooking sauce for me. I was putting all the right ingredients, it tastes good, but there was something missing. And you brought it to me, and you brought it big when it comes to self-awareness. And I forgot God in the whole thing. Help us understand that. When you're looking at you and changing you, God plays a big part in that.
Yeah, I mean, I would look at you all and say this: you were created on purpose. We live in a world that talks about accidents, and I think sometimes some words are spoken to our life that are so unhealthy from the standpoint of you were an accident, you were an oops baby, those kind of things. My belief is this: I believe God, fearfully and wonderfully, the Bible says, makes each one of us, creates us on purpose with our personality, with our passion, with a certain body type, because he has a part for us to play in his story. So many of us are trying to figure out who we are, right? Purpose. That is an international thing that people are trying to chase after and figure out. Doesn't matter culture, creed, socioeconomic level. We're all trying to figure out why. Why am I sucking oxygen on this big blue blob? And I believe to the core of my being, it's because there's a creator who thought you up in his mind. There's a big argument these days about conception. I believe conception happens in the mind of God. When he thought you up, and then he allowed you to be put into your mama's belly, and now he has purpose and meaning. And so in all the chasing, in all the going after things and trying to build a bigger bank account and trying to gather more toys, right? The whole he who dies with the most toy wins idea. No, he who finds who he's called to be or she's called to be and walks and lives it out will find fulfillment, will find joy, will find more than any great bank account could ever bring to your life.
Wow, that was deep and well said, because I still struggle.
Sure.
And we talked about it.
Sure.
We met a couple times. And I think a lot of people out there too, how do they know they're calling? It's like, I'm waiting to hear this voice from above saying, Giulio, go to the church, and it's like, okay, and you're meant to do this.
Yeah.
How do we feel this? How do we know? I mean, it should be common sense to know we have a special calling and we know our strengths, but yet we fight it, I think.
See, I grew up in a time period where they had this term called Renaissance man. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? Where you're supposed to be able to do all things, right? Mm-hmm. And so I took piano lessons while I was playing football, while I was playing soccer. I learned to play guitar. I learned to sing. I grew up in a time period where you do all things. And the reality is that you just become really good at a lot of things and a master of none.
That's for sure.
For many of us, I think the hardest part of purpose is acknowledging our weakness. This is not an area that I'm good at, right? I make the joke all the time in our church when I talk to people and say, if Mike walked through the door and you said, oh, great, we're so glad you're here. We need a 3-year-old teacher with our 3-year-olds. My answer to 3-year-olds is duct tape. To the wall and over there. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but that's not who I'm called to be.
No.
Right? I'm not called to sit in a cubicle and do numbers. I'm not a detail personality. And I'm okay with understanding that. So I think some of the clues of understanding purpose are, who are you? How are you designed? What particular person? Some of us have gregarious personalities. I'm one of those people. I could talk to this wall if I thought it was listening. You and I are both that way. Some people, not really great talking to people. And then they feel bad about them. No, wait. We need some of you sitting in a cubicle crunching numbers or being an accountant that does this kind of detail. That's how you're designed. Right. So coming to the place of understanding, we do a DISC profile at the church, which is a personality test. We test spiritual gifts. What kind of gifting? What do we see come out in you? What is normal to you? What do you love? When you do things you're designed to do, the things that fit with your personality and your giftings, It gives you energy. When you do things that are outside of the way that you're designed, it exhausts you. I'm a people person. Love being around people. I could talk all day long. I could talk a dog out of a meat truck. I'm really good at it, right? And the reality is on Sundays, I'm up early. I go to church. I do a whole bunch of stuff. But people are like, Pastor Mike, you must be exhausted by the afternoon. No. I'm energized. I'm operating within my gifting. Now, my wife, she's much more of an introvert, but she runs our children's ministry. So she's dealing with parents all morning and all that. She goes home and she about dies. Like she takes a nap every Sunday afternoon, right? Yeah. It's because when you are operating in the way you're designed, you get energy. So what gives you energy? What things in your life that you do that you're like, man, I love that. You know, I love that scenario. Many of us have settled for a lesser story because it pays the bills. We've settled for a lesser story because it gives us a certain lifestyle that we want to live. But if we're really honest, we're not where we want to be. We're not where we passionately are designed. So I think part of figuring out purpose is figuring out who you are, figuring out your strengths, figuring out your weaknesses, your personality type. Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? Are you people-oriented? Are you task-oriented? You know, when you start figuring some of those things out, now you have a clue. Now you can decide between those 3 job opportunities, this one fits with my personality more, right? I'm going to have more joy here. Yeah, it's $20,000 less a year, but I promise you, you're going to be 100 times more happy in that place because it fits with who you are and the way you're designed.
And you'll have more purpose.
Absolutely.
Want to do
all
it,
day long.
Which brings us to the resolution. It's not about trying to be someone you're not. Be the person you are.
Yeah.
But also know that, you know, to be aware of that, God has you, Christ has you.
Yes.
And to have that faith, because I tell people, you got to pick something, faith or fear. And I'd rather pick faith.
Absolutely.
You know, because living in fear doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
But locked up in your own mental jail.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So knowing, because that's what hit me is, I used to only have a relationship. I did have a relationship with God, but only when I needed him. You know, I thought of him a lot, but when I needed him, you know, if something was going wrong, that's when I wanted the relationship to be closer. It's like that friend you haven't seen in a year, but now all of a sudden you need that, you know, you call that friend up after a year, where we should be talking to him every day to give us strength,
absolutely,
hope, you know, to fill us with the Holy Spirit, so that we can work on the things that we need to work on.
Absolutely.
Am I on the right path with that?
Yeah. Most of us treat God like a holy vending machine.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
I'm going to walk up. My prayer life consists of walking up, putting some money in, hitting D7 and having the Skittles fall out, because that's what I want right now.
Right.
And our prayer life is limited to a list of God, please do this. God, please fix that. Like, you know, as opposed to that's really never what God wanted. What God wanted from the beginning was relationship. You know, and if you and I have a relationship, but the only interaction is ever me coming asking you to do things for me, I wonder how long that relationship's going to last. That's not much of a relationship, right? That's me begging. That's a manipulation. That's a using, you know, if you will. Yeah. And so, no, coming to this place of understanding that God would really like to be a part of the highs as much as he's a part of the lows.
Yeah, well said. I love that. You know, and sometimes I hate bothering people and saying, what do you need? Because I feel like I'm bugging them.
Right.
And I find out that sometimes the more I do that, and this is why I'm bringing it up, because some people feel the same way, is if I keep on you like, Pastor Mike, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? All of a sudden I find people like shy back, like, man, you know, I don't know if I'm being too aggressive in wanting to help, but I always get turned away when I want to give more. Because I love, like you said, when I go into the schools and I see the kids going to school there and the teachers, I love meeting with them, inspiring. It gives me purpose. But when I don't go and I sit on the computer or the couch, I feel useless. So I love being out there, but is it being too pushy to constantly ask? Like you just said, you know, sometimes people wait to be asked.
Sometimes people don't know what they want or need.
Yeah.
You know, and what we're doing when we keep asking them is we're reminding them of how much they don't know. And maybe the adversity and the pushback is not you. It's as much as I don't want to be asked that anymore because I don't know how to answer the question. You know, so many people are struggling with purpose. And all the research right now shows that 87% of people who are sitting in church on a Sunday morning can't tell you what their purpose is, right? Well, if I don't know my purpose, I don't know what I need. So if you come and say, what do you need? The pushback is not really you. The pushback is, I don't want to be asked that again because I'm not sure how to answer it, and I don't know who I am. I don't know what I need. I'm trying to figure out meaning and purpose here. So many people are struggling with that within our culture, you know, and so I really think sometimes that's the scenario.
You know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all my bills and everything. So next time you or someone asks me what I need, I'm just going to whip it out and say, I need you to pay these.
You just reminded me not to ask you that question. Yes.
Well, listen, it has been a pleasure. We could probably talk forever.
Yes.
And there's so much.
Probably the two of us.
Yeah, I know,
we could.
exactly.
Anyway,
the whole time through.
Yeah.
And there's so much passion that goes behind knowing God and Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir.
And don't get me wrong, guys. You know, and Pastor made me feel okay with this, is sometimes I question.
Sure.
Sometimes when I read the stories in the Bible and
we all
and
wrestle
I'll say,
with doubt.
Yeah, it's like, and why am I going through this? And why are you putting me through this? But you've made everything clear that, you know, sometimes we have to go through the storm to get stronger.
Yes, sir.
But the sun is going to shine on the other end, and God will walk with us.
Yep.
And when we get to the other side, there may be another storm coming.
Sure.
But there's a reason behind it, and it may take years, but something is in the works if you don't lose the faith. And sometimes, man, I felt like running from the faith because I just felt like, because the more I got into faith, the more the attack of the other side came.
Oh, absolutely, of course.
Even when I wrote Illuminating the Path, was just something I wanted to share in the parables that was written in Matthew that Jesus spoke. I felt like I was more attacked then, and my sister told me, she said, be careful, because once you do this, you're going to feel more attacked. Yeah. And other people told me that, and I'm like, shut
absolutely,
up.
Yeah.
And it's so true, but it only made me stronger and wiser. But it's not about me. It's about everyone out there to understand that, you know, Jesus loves you, God loves you.
Yes, sir.
And whether you're a God believer, Jesus believer, whatever, just know that it's about love.
Yeah.
It's about giving.
Yeah.
And you could probably, you know, give us a send-off that's a lot more meaningful, because I need to work on my skills here, that can leave us with something as we go through this holidays, or a blessing, or something that we all stay safe and understand that it's okay to get close to the Lord.
Sure.
You don't have to change that dramatically.
Yeah.
We're not perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you take it away. So
I guess I would probably close just looking at any of you watching this and say most of us struggle with doubt. Many of us struggle with feeling like a fraud. You may not have thought of this before, but pastors struggle with feeling like frauds because we're teaching a sermon about marriage, but our wife's not talking to us that day, right? And so the reality being that we all battle doubt, and we all battle feeling like I'm not maybe where I should be. Most of us feel behind. We look at our age and say, I wish I would have done more or been, you know, in a better place. I thought I would have accomplished or this. I mean, we all battle that scenario. So let me leave you with a very, very simple thought that I hope will just get embedded in your brain. If God had a refrigerator, your picture would be on it. And you just need to know that.
Wow, that's hey, listen, we got to do more of these because we have a lot to learn and a lot to talk about. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Yes. If you don't celebrate Christmas, just wish me a Happy Hanukkah or whatever it is that you celebrate. But we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, a safe one. And we hope that you'll tune in for our next show. And who knows what that'll be on, but it'll be something interesting. But we really want to thank Pastor Mike for taking the time out of his busy day, as you heard all the things that he has going on. He took the time to give the message to us and speak to us. So thank you very much for your time.
Yes, sir.
And stay well, and we'll see you at the next show. Until then, God bless. We'll see you soon.